Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 239 of The Reformed Gamers, a show all about theology, video games, and I don't know what it is about Thursdays or whatever, but all the crazy stuff just happened this Thursday as we're getting ready to record, and we're like, man, we just got to keep adding stuff to the docket of what we're talking about. All that to say, I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
And I am his co-host, Micah.
Micah, dude, I have to say, and I feel like we're going to say this a lot this year, 2023 is a great time to be a gamer. It's probably going to go down as like one of those years of like, dude, 2023 was a dope year for video games.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. You know, we've had Dead Space Remake, we've had Trails to Azure, we've had just other games that I'm forgetting, Metroid Prime Remastered, Shadow dropped out of nowhere, Hi-Fi Rush, all that stuff. And we're going to get into one of those games today, tonight, whenever you're listening to this, which is the Resident Evil 4 remake, and just how gosh darn good it is. Like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but dude, what a time to be a gamer. You know what I mean?
We're like broken records around here. We've been saying it since the end of last year. Like I was like, dude, get ready for 2023, man. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
I've talked about it with my wife. I've sort of, kind of budgeting things out. I'm like, man, I've got like a major game a month. Like if there's only 4 games, or 3 games you would buy a year, like this, like any given year, this would be one of them, kind of thing. One of those every month, basically. Just huge games that, in my opinion, are kind of like can't miss. But yeah.
Yep. It's a great time to be alive, man. It's a great time to be a gamer. I'm loving every minute of it. It's just, man, I don't know. Every time we come to do this show, and really even after we do it, and I'm gaming and stuff and just enjoying my time, I'm just like, it's one of those times you kind of have to just sit there and be like, you know what, God, thank you for allowing me to just even enjoy this right now. Yeah. Like, it's just hot diggity dog. Recreation's awesome. It's great. It's a gift from the Lord, and we are thankful we get to partake in that. So before we get into the show proper, a couple things I do need to go over and highlight and point out. I don't really like to start off the show on a little bit of a sour note or kind of sad note, but we have to address it because it's gonna come up eventually. People are gonna be listening to the show and wondering, where's the jingles that we're normally used to? Where's the sounds and stuff that we're normally used to? Why does the audio sound significantly different? Is Skinner losing his touch? And longtime listeners know that Skinner has been the editor of this podcast for, I want to say 4 years, if not a little bit more than that.
A while.
He's been doing the show for a long time, done just an incredible amount of work. He's really elevated the show on so many different levels in regards to audio and our production and stuff, to the point that my small group leader is still impressed at just the level of production that our show has. He's like, this is so good. And I'm like, I agree. But he's been training to be a missionary, and with that comes just a lot of different responsibilities. And here recently, he has had to take a step away from a lot of different things. One of those being the show. And I had kind of had an idea this was probably coming at some point. And so he and I have been talking really for the last year, setting things up on the back end to kind of make sure that when this day comes, we would be able to just kind of hit the ground running and keep things going. So much so that the last episode 238, was our first kind of run with it, where I edited both the audio and the video. And so no one has said anything, so I'm assuming I did a good job. So I don't know. But yeah, so at this point, just to let the listeners know, Skinner is still around in the Discord. He's still part of the TRG family, but he's no longer editing the shows for the foreseeable future. He's got a lot on his plate. I'm sure he would tell you nothing that he is necessarily begrudging or anything like that. He's looking forward to it, but he's just realized, okay, there are certain things that I can't do during the season of life, and unfortunately editing TRG is one of them. So just want to let people aware of that. If you guys want to contact Skinner or be praying for him, I'm sure he would greatly appreciate that. He is still around in the Discord. He is still playing Marvel Snap, so you can kind of hit him up with that.
Yeah, if I can real quick, just on a personal note, Skinner, just, thank you so much for like just the service you've done to the podcast. Yeah. You're really that behind the scenes man, doesn't get a lot of glory and attention, but you're slaving away each and every episode, most each and every episode here. Yeah. And you've been doing it for years. So just can't thank you enough for the work that you
Yeah,
do,
man.
the quality that you put out, your attitude, the fun we have, everything. So yeah, take the time that you need, and if you want to come back, we're definitely happy to have you.
Yeah, 100%. So Skinner will still be around again, like I said, in the Discord server. I was just kind of thinking through what some of my favorite edits were that Skinner's ever done. And the one that tends to live rent free in my head is whenever we would do the Black Friday episodes, he would always find these Christmas ads for like gaming related things and splice
Mm-hmm.
them together and just create this really cool, like,
Yeah.
mesh of things. It's easily one of my favorite things that
Yeah.
he's done for the show. But yeah, so Skinner will be missed, but he's still around. So definitely be praying for him and checking in on him through the Discord server as well. Want to also just again mention Snapchatter, our Marvel Snap podcast is still going on. If you want to check that out, if you're into Marvel Snap or curious about it, there's a YouTube channel for it, Twitter, all that jazz. Go check that out. Also want to highlight that the March episode of Talk TRG is out. I got Matt Millsap on, and we talked about the Last of Us HBO show, recapped most of the episodes and talked about a couple of different things, including the very polarizing episode 3, along with just kind of the changes that they made from translating the game to a TV show and things like that. Much like, where's the spores at? Why is there a hive mind of the infected? That sort of stuff. And just getting into that there and kind of what we're looking forward to in part 2 or season 2 and things of that nature. We're definitely not looking forward to people griping and complaining about it yet again, but we're definitely interested to see kind of what they do and how they translate it. And so that's up there for $5 and up patrons. It is a Patreon exclusive thing. So if you want to check that out, that is over there as well. So plenty of content that is going around TRG related, but let's get into the content we've got for you today, starting with what we're playing. And Micah, kick us off with TRG Kids, man. Looks like they're playing some pretty cool things here.
Yes, I have a tradition with my girls. So, I've got two girls, are the older ones, and then I have a son. But with my oldest daughter, one of not the first, I mean, I definitely, this is far from the first. Let me kind of pause there. One of the
Mm-hmm.
games along our journey of me kind of introducing video games to her was I showed her Kingdom Hearts, and we played that.
Okay.
She fell in love with it. So we played Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, not any of the ones in between, just the mainline ones. And she loved it. We had a blast. So anyway, I'm doing that again with my middle daughter, Ava May, and we're playing Kingdom Hearts 2. She is 9 years old, and she is absolutely, like, she loves this game. She loves this series. She loves Donald is hanging out with Donald and Goofy are hanging out with Sora, and
Mm-hmm.
that we're in Mulan's world now, and all this stuff. She doesn't care that the story hadn't gotten crazy convoluted just yet. We're about to get there.
Yeah.
Um, she's eating at every little morsel that this game offers. What I want to say real quick about Kingdom Hearts 2 is that Kingdom Hearts 2 is a way better game than Kingdom Hearts 1, I think. Like the game,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah.
story and all the cutscenes really, really get in the way of letting you play this really good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 does a better job of that, if memory serves me. But anyway, 2 holds up better in my mind than 1 does, than KH1.
Mm-hmm.
But this is such a divisive series. People think it's hot. Some people think it's hot garbage. Some
Yeah.
people, love it. There's a lot of nostalgia there. Obviously, kids love it. I mean, my girls they're going to have great fond memories of this series as they grow up.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I just feel like you're about to say something there, Logan.
I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I have tried to get into Kingdom Hearts so many times. And, longtime listeners know me and Adam played through the first one. And we were like, it's okay. It's fine. I definitely will agree with you that Kingdom Hearts 2 definitely holds up better than the first one. 100%, even though I haven't finished 2 and probably never will. But yeah, it's definitely a polarizing series. It seems like I'm kind of more in the middle of it. Like, I mean, I like it. I respect it for what it is. I don't necessarily hate it. I don't think it's garbage or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it,
Well,
it gets a little convoluted. But I mean, it is what it
definitely.
is.
But we just have fun with it. I play with it every time she like, we don't play without each other basically. So we
Yeah.
just have fun as far as like anytime you have to do just the reading of the dialogue, we'll take turns. Like she'll read Sora's and Mulan's line and I'll do Donald and Goofy. And
Hmm.
like we'll just kind of take turns reading the text bubbles and stuff and just have fun that way.
Yeah.
She's eating it up. But playing that, and then both of my two younger ones, Ava May and Ellison, still can't get enough of Minecraft Dungeons. Man,
That's a really good game.
they keep coming back to this well.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. In the era of Diablo 4, I know a lot of people are playing the beta and
Oh
loving it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
This Minecraft game in the same genre, in the same vein, is really, really good. Don't skip it. Don't, if you like that sort of, you know, that dungeon looting, Diablo style game, definitely give Minecraft Dungeons a shot. It is worth your time. So that they keep going back to that well, and that's a fun one that they like to play together. So of course, that always warms my heart when they play games together.
I'm trying to think. Isn't Minecraft Dungeons one of the free games with PS Plus
Yes,
this month?
that's why it's on the list. That they've played it a bunch
Okay.
on the Xbox, and they have a whole kind of account over there and stuff, doing runs and stuff. But yeah, I downloaded it on PS Plus, and they saw it on the PlayStation and just booted up a new
Okay.
game.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
was trying to think. I was like, man, I feel like I've seen this recently, and I can't remember where I saw it at. But
hmm
yeah, it was a free game on PS Plus. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember I went and visited family down in Florida, and one of my cousins, his fiance's son, was playing Minecraft Dungeons, and I was sitting there watching him play. I'm like, dude, what are you playing? This looks cool. And he's like, it's Minecraft Dungeons. And he was telling me all about it. I'm like, huh. That's really cool. I looked at my wife. I'm like, "Can I get Minecraft Dungeons for my Switch? Can we play together?"
yeah,
I remember getting hooked on it that entire time we were down there. That's a cool game. It's a really cool
yeah.
game.
I dipped my toe in it when we first got it on Xbox, and I played. I mean, we got to the first 10 levels or so with my
Yeah.
kiddos, and yeah, it was definitely like, okay, I need to put this down. I'm gonna get addicted.
Yeah. It's just like regular Minecraft, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what my kids have been playing.
Right on.
What I have been playing is, I talked pretty much the whole time extensively about PlayStation VR 2 last episode, and a lot of the
Mhm.
games I've been playing, and about how I, just kind of cannonballed into the deep end, had a little bit of VR sickness with Horizon Call of
Mhm.
the Mountain. So that has now washed away. I got my VR legs back up and we're ready to roll. So I bounced back into Horizon Call of the Mountain and I finished this game. Haven't got the platinum. I am going to go back and get it, by the way.
Okay.
I've got, it's like 7 trophies I got to get. It's a perfect amount to kind of go back and clean up real quick.
Mhm.
This is a fun game. This is a good showpiece for the PSVR 2, but not like a system seller showpiece, just a showpiece.
Right.
Like
Right.
it employs all of the tech that you would expect that it has, like the eye tracking and all this kind of stuff. It's graphically a powerhouse. It looks wonderful.
Mhm.
Um, it is. I don't say it's one note. I mean, you're just doing a lot of climbing. It's a climbing game, kind of like The Climb, the VR game, The Climb, if you're familiar with that. So, it's a bit of a workout. You're doing a lot of this, just reaching up.
Mhm.
And so a lot of that, a lot of the combat sections are pretty neat. What you do, it's not like free running around. You're basically kind of in a circle around the dinosaurs and you kind of strafe around them and, grab health, grab weapons and shoot them off.
Okay.
And there's different tricks to beating certain ones and stuff. But the combat is a lot of fun. Shooting your bow and arrow or like the slingshot kind of weapon that you have in Horizon are both really cool in VR.
Mhm.
This game is like a 7.5 out of 10
Oh,
kind of thing.
wow.
It's
Okay.
it's it's solid. It's not great.
Mhm.
It's really good. Like I said, it's not a system seller. And I saw a quick kind of a news nugget. PSVR 2, as you might could guess, is selling terribly,
I saw
apparently.
that too. Yeah.
Like under 300,000 units so far, something like that.
Mhm.
And, if this is the best first party offering, Sony can come up with for the launch of the thing, that, that kind of tracks. That makes sense,
Yeah.
there again, I mentioned it last episode. I wouldn't have this thing. I wouldn't have this headset if I didn't have like a 40th birthday recently, if I didn't have like a
Yeah.
huge kind of once in a lifetime sort of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like this is a good game, but I just don't know. I'm not sure who else out there kind of has these things right now and is
Yeah.
kind of diving in. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna play Horizon. That sounds fun.
I remember seeing that article about just kind of how the PSVR 2 wasn't selling very well because friend of the show and fellow podcaster and dear patron, Aaron L. White, host of the Feel and Film podcast, retweeted it and kind of had a comment about it. I was like, yeah, it's funny. People got mad at me and Micah for saying the launch lineup really wasn't anything spectacular, and now here we are. We're like, proof is kind of in the pudding here. Not, it's funny. People
Yeah.
again, we're like, oh, we're too mean to Xbox. Like, hey, we're here to, like, we're pretty harsh on everybody,
Yeah,
But
the lineup, they had the number of games was pretty decent, but it's just like a lot of like, yeah, this is out on Quest already. This is out on
hmm
whatever. This is
hmm
something that was on PSVR 1 even, things
yeah,
like that. So very few true exclusives. But we'll see how they support it. It'll be interesting. The
yeah,
the article that we're referencing alluded to like a price cut might be needed really soon. We'll
yeah.
see if that happens. We'll see what Sony does there. But anyway, solid game. Still liking the tech and everything with the headset. I'm getting way
hmm
more just comfortable with it, used to it. I'm
yeah.
getting a lot of the intricacies down pat. So like I'm kind of like full steam ahead. I got Tetris Effect again and re-downloaded that and I'm playing
So
that.
good.
So yeah, I'm enjoying the VR still. So
Right on.
moving on, what I really want to talk about, of course,
Mm,
is Resident Evil 4. We,
let's
we
do
talked
it.
about the
Mm,
demo last week. We had some
hmm
impressions. And so
hmm
here we are. We're diving into the full thing. I've only played through chapter 7 is where I'm
hmm
at. I literally
hmm
just put it down about 30 minutes ago.
hmm
And that was a harrowing chapter, by the way, if you've played the game.
Yeah.
No spoilers here, but my thoughts on the game are that it's Capcom is just continuing the train of that they started since Resident Evil 2 remake, or
Yeah.
you could even go back to Resident Evil 1 remake on the GameCube, I guess, but that's sort of a different
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm not dumb shocked or flabbergasted. I'm kind of waiting. Like, how long is is this gonna keep going? Like, they can't
hmm
keep this momentum, surely, but they are.
Yeah.
So, and maybe it stops here because Resident Evil 5 is next. Lol.
Well, I'm hoping we get Code Veronica next. Like, let's not go to 5 just
Well,
yet.
we need that true OG Dino Crisis, of course.
That's true. That's true.
No, anyway, we're getting off topic. Um, it's just another gem from Capcom. This game is so
hmm
stinking good. And what
Yeah.
real quick history note with me in this game, I love Resident Evil 2, have a lot of history and love for Resident Evil 3 and 1, of course. But
Yeah.
4, oddly enough, I'll say oddly enough, I know exactly why. It's because it was a GameCube exclusive originally and I didn't have a GameCube.
Yeah.
I only played this game one time since the playthrough I'm playing right now. So I have very few memories about this game. They're fond memories. I
hmm
really like that playthrough a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but I never had like this, like, oh, Resident Evil 4 is the best Resident Evil, like a lot of people say.
hmm
I was definitely not that guy. I'm like, yeah, RE2, bud, all the way.
hmm
Um, so I just don't like I'm playing this and I don't know, like, is this new? I can't quite remember. My memory's too fuzzy. So it
hmm
feels new. I don't know if it is. So it kind of like there's just like the touchstone moments, like the lake, for example. Like,
Yeah.
like I remember these things, but like a lot of the things in between, I'm not really remembering, or it's just new
hmm
and I'm not sure. So it feels like a fresh experience. And what I'll say about Resident Evil 4 is this is just it's kind of much more of a fun game compared to 2 and 3. I'll
hmm
say, with the whole kicking and just the
Yeah.
it's a little bit less of a survival horror game. I feel like I've never hurting for ammo for anything.
hmm
Um, but yeah, the I will say one thing real quick. The kind of clunky controls, the camera and the way we sort of move with Leon that we talked about last week is still kind of there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it's a little head scratching. Again, it's not. It's like that thing where like after a few minutes you don't notice it. You're just
hmm
playing a game, but it's there, and I need to. I'm kind of like, am I just not remembering this in other Resident Evil games? Am I
Yeah.
not remembering it in other games? Period. Like I just played Dead Space. I don't think that did it. Like
No.
what's
Yeah.
what
It's more
is it
solid.
about this game that makes it feel this way? I'm not really sure if it was intentional or what.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things, such as the rain looks a little off,
Yeah. hmm
and a couple other things where like this doesn't seem quite as hemmed up. I'm gonna compare it to Dead Space remake because it's right there. It doesn't seem
hmm
quite as hemmed up as Dead Space remake was. Now this
Yeah.
might be a better game overall. It's kind of
Sure.
it's a little kind of just depending on your opinion, but
hmm
and your taste. But it's still a fantastic remake. I feel like it could use a patch or two, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ultimately, none of that matters. This
Yeah.
game is still, a 9 or a 10 out of 10 kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it, like you said up top, it's just another great kind of, in my opinion, must-have game. This is now, we talk about like you don't got there's no, I mean, if all you have is a PS3 or a 360, okay, go play the original Dead Space. But if you have
Yeah.
access to it, this is the definitive Dead
Yep.
Space. Same
Yep.
thing here. This is now the definitive Resident Evil 4. You should
Mhm.
play this version. This is the one you should play if you're going to
Mhm.
play it. Don't bother with the old stuff. Now, sure, if you want to be a historian and all that, or a purist, knock yourself out. I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
bad. But if you're new coming in, you're like, where should I jump in? Jump in with this one for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'll kick it over to you, Logan. I think you've played a
Yeah.
good bit more than me.
Yeah, I am like 10 to 12 hours into the game at this point. I think I've got like 2 chapters left before I'm actually done with the game. I played so much of this game over the weekend, mainly because I was trying to not play Marvel Snap because I was so mad at the game. And I'm like, if I go play this while I'm mad, I'm going to do terrible and get even more mad. So Resident Evil 4 Remake just came out. Let me just focus on that. And man, game's stinking good. To kind of touch on my history with the game a little bit, I was there when it came out on the GameCube. I was there day one, got it from Best Buy,
Nice.
even though I was underage, but the guy still sold it to me anyway. I was like, yeah, thank you, Best Buy
Oh,
guy. He was like, just don't let my bosses know I sold you this. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna tell anybody. I was also there when the chainsaw controller came out, and that was, oh man.
oh man,
If y'all have not seen the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller for the GameCube, go look that up. Google it. It is
iconic.
what a controller, man. What a controller. But yeah, the game. So this is the game that I have played. This is the Resident Evil game I have played the most of. I played it on GameCube. I played it on Wii a little bit. I played it on PS4, on Xbox 360. Like I have bought this game so like there's people out there that buy Skyrim a whole bunch of times on all different platforms. Resident Evil 4 is that game for me. And so as I've been playing through it, I can see where they've changed things, but there's still the same things as before, but they'll change like the layout of the area. I'm like, oh, I remember this place exactly, but they've moved this over here now. They've expanded this. They've made this thing a certain way differently, and so I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm appreciating the changes that they've made. Some of the changes, I'm a little kind of like, I kind of prefer the original. The main one being, and this may be different for other people, but Ramon Salazar, I prefer the original, man. Just a little Napoleon Bonaparte looking dude who's kind of like, kooky and weird, over this more Victorian regal kind of Castellan sort of character, which I think is probably what they were going for in the original, and it just didn't come across that way. But I will say that while this game retains a lot of its charm and character and just overall goofiness from the original, I'm starting to kind of see where I think they're trying to go, where they're bridging these remakes into Resident Evil 7 and beyond, because this one, there's some sections with Ramon Salazar where I was genuinely creeped out, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm seeing what they're doing with these remakes. They're trying to reimagine Resident Evil to connect it with 7, so they kind of connect at a certain point. And so we might see a brand new Resident Evil 6 where it's just a whole new game in general because of what they're trying to do. And so which I don't blame them, but
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4, man, this remake, gosh, dang it, this game is so good. There's some things in there, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that some of the things we were led to believe about this game, they pulled a little bit of a switcheroo on you. One thing in particular, you guys will know when you get there, because you'll be like, "Oh my gosh,
Man.
you'll know what I'm talking about when you get there."
Okay.
Um, you know.
I just got to something at the end of chapter 7. I don't
Mhm.
know if you remember specifically. I'm not going to say the
Mhm.
story beat, but I
Mhm.
don't remember this
Mhm.
part. It involved Ashley. That's all I'll say.
Mm.
And
Nope.
I don't remember this being in the original this way when
Mhm.
a gate comes between her and Leon. If you remember
Mhm.
this part, Logan,
Mhm.
is this scene in the original the same way like that?
It is. It's a little different though because of the places that you go. after that, and some of the things that you do is definitely very different, but it's largely the same for the most
Okay.
part. I
Okay.
noticed a few people were like kind of talking about that online, and I'm like, this was the original.
Okay.
So
There again, it's not it's so fuzzy. I can't
yeah,
quite remember if
and
that's exactly how it went down.
it's really such a brief section that of course you would forget it, because I mean it's just like a little thing sort of
Hmm.
in the original game. You blink and it's done, sort of thing, but kind of beating around the bush a lot on it. but
Yeah.
but let me just say, like, there's some things they did change. Some of the narrative things they did change. None of them are bad. Some of them actually make a lot of sense, and there's one iconic scene with Leon and his knife and another knife. That's all I'm
Hmm.
gonna say, because I don't want to spoil it. But man,
Okay.
I can't tell if I like this version better or the original, because the original is just so iconic. But this one was really fun because it was more interactive. I
Mm,
just
boy.
look, it's a good game. They retain so much of the goofy, stupid stuff in this game from the original that I like. When I found out you could still suplex people, I'm like, dude, this is my I love it. I love this
Yeah.
game so stinking much.
Yeah.
And just Leon still has this goofy self. It's really good. Lewis is
Hmm.
great in this one.
Yeah.
Um,
He
just
is.
all the characters. Ada is so, dude,
Hmm.
this is such a cool game. And I
It.
was debating for the longest time. I was like, do I like this game? Do I really like this game? And then after I saved and realized I'd put 10 hours into the game, I'm like, no, I love this game. This is awesome. Oh
I
man.
can't be selfish and ask for really any more remakes of games that I love after
Hmm.
Capcom has done all this. What
Yeah.
what they've done with one of my favorite series of all time, Resident Evil, is just been I'm in like dreamland between
Yep.
2, 3, and 4 remake.
Yep.
Um, and even the fact that they went, I'll go back to the first remake on GameCube. Even the fact that they did that at that time was so
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't believe it. I love it. This is I can't like only Metal Gear Solid remake would like top this in
Oh
my opinion.
man.
These are so good.
Yeah.
Or I guess and I've already gotten Shadow of the Colossus, so I can't talk about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is just like my youth remade. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. So Resident Evil 4 remake, it's awesome. It's a good time. Oh, the merchant, of course. Not the same voice actor. It's different. He's still as goofy as before. He's got a lot more lines now, and man,
Yeah,
you just can't help but smile when you come across him.
love them.
He's still got all of his favorite lines. Like, "What are you buying, stranger?"
Uh huh.
Or, "Oh, I'll buy it at a high price."
At a
Those
high
kind of things.
price.
Those just all the lines, man. He's got this new one where he's like, "If you were wondering how we procure these items, well, let's just say you don't want to know, stranger." I'm like, gosh dang it. I love how mysterious you are. You're goofy and I love you, man. So he's still good, man. It's just what a game. What a
Hmm.
game.
Shinji Mikami. Let's go.
What a game. What a game. Speaking of games, this is the last one I'll talk about, because a lot of people have been revisiting our YouTube channel, specifically the Trails from Zero video, and just typing in comments like, dude, are you playing Trails to Azure? What do you think of it? Can't wait for your review. How are you like? I'm like, I'm playing it. Give me a break. This is going to take me a while because I keep getting distracted by the stupid fishing and all the side quests in Trails to Azure. Y'all, let me tell you, what I've come to really love about these games is the first games in the arcs. It's all about world building, getting you connected to the characters, teaching you about the world, the different things going on, getting you introduced to all these different things that are going on in the world. Kind of slow cook all these things to have just a bit of an explosive ending, right? And then once they get you in the second game, like, okay, we got all that introductory crap out of the way. We're just gonna just remove the brakes from the vehicle and just have you go full speed ahead. And it's like, okay, here we go. Whoa, we're going. And man, the way that this game starts with you hunting down a member of the cult that made its appearance in the last game, and just where that goes and how it ends, it's just, oh my gosh. It's funny. There's a very loud car that just drove by. It's like, yeah, that's about how the introduction of this game was. It was very explosive, very loud. Man, I can't spoil anything, but I will say that if you have played Trails in the Sky, all three leading up to these games, There's so many characters that come back from that series that you are going to be giddy as all get out. One of my favorite characters that you play as in Trails 3, actually is the main character, shows up at the intro of this game, and I lost it. I was like slapping my desk, clapping. I was like, let's go, my boys here. We are good. It's and I can tell he's going to have a more key role in this game, and I'm just like, that's what I'm here for. You get a car at the start of this game. Why? I don't know. You don't really need it, but at the same time, I'm like, exhibit pimp my ride, good sir. Put it in the garage. Let me customize this thing, because you can customize it with different colors and all sorts of things. And you have new characters coming into the party and recurring characters coming back, and just super just dope anime ways where it's like, yes, it's just Trails to Azure is freaking awesome. It's a good time. I'm going to put this out as a clip, and that's really all I have to say about the game. It's really good. I'm only like a chapter and a half to 2 chapters in, and it's just it's good. It's really stinking good. I will say this: if you only have PlayStation, right, and you want to get in these games, you're gonna have to start with Trails from Zero, right? Despite what stupid people on Twitter were flipping out about, because they're like, oh my gosh, you made 3 videos talking about playing in Trails in the Sky first. I'm like, yeah, the dude's asking PlayStation, though. It's fine to start with Trails from Zero. If you can, try to start with Trails in the Sky. But if you can't, Trails from Zero is a good starting point. You are going to miss out on some of the cool reveals, because you're like, okay, who's this character? Should I be excited? Logan was excited. He was flipping out, doing cartwheels, jumping on the couch like Tom Cruise was back in the Oprah days. You're going to have that. You're going to miss out on that stuff. But it's fine to start there, because it's just the world building, the writing, the combat, it's really good. Especially if you like Brandon Sanderson and that level of world building, play these games. Just do it.
So help me out here, Logan. I'm sitting here on Steam watching the trailer for Trails to Azure. Is this a remake of an old Trails game, or is this brand new?
Trails to Azure originally released on the PSP, if I remember correctly, and this is a remaster of that with some quality of life improvements. So much like what they did with Trails from Zero, they added in a button that you can press, and it pulls up like the text log of what was previously said. Fast forward.
Where is this in the Legend of Heroes or Trails to like timeline, or like what order is this in the game?
So this is where you're going to have to ask someone a little more well-versed on it, because this ties into another video game series that I can't remember the name of. I want to say it's like Panzer Dragoon, but I'm thinking of Nier Automata, ties in with that. But technically, if you're speaking of like Legend of Heroes, this, from my perspective, this is the 5th game in the series, because you have Trails in the Sky first and second chapter, then the third, then Trails from Zero, then Trails to Azure. So this is like the 5th one in that particular lineup. So, and then from here you go to the next 4 Cold Seal games, and then you go into Trails into Reverie, and then another game. I mean, this is a really huge series that they are still making.
How long are these games?
They're JRPGs. So they can.
I know that, but like, are they like 40 or like 80 hours?
You're going to be closer to the 60 to 80 hour mark with these. The first chapter of Trails, I beat that in 40 hours, and then Trails in the Sky 2 and 3 took me like 50 to 60. Trails from Zero took me around 50 hours. So I mean, they're again, if you don't have the time for them, you're not going to have the time for them. But yeah, they are long games. They're long games, but they're worth it. Worth it.
This trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just, oh my gosh. And then the way that they do the combo, oh my gosh. Yeah, the game is really stinking good. I'm loving it. But again, I keep getting sidetracked because
not right now. At some point, I need you to we need to sit down for 10 minutes and I need you to do like a Logan's JRPG series ranking.
Let's do this.
Me. Or like do a YouTube video or something, like, number 5. Whatever the heck, Dragon Quest. Number 4, Final Fantasy. Number 3, Legend of Heroes. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but I need you to do like a top 5 or top 7 or whatever it is for you, like favorite JRPG series. Because I'm so, being on the show with you, like I've talked about in the past, I'm such a casual JRPG fan. I'm realizing, and you're such a deeper JRPG, and I want to. I'm just so intimidated by these series that are so big. Yeah. So if I had like okay, Persona, like, I
Mhm.
would like, okay, maybe I'll jump into this series and try this one out. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, man. I love that idea. I might do that. That'd be a great idea. That might be a summer thing I do when I have more time and I can get back
Okay.
to making videos more regularly, instead of what I've got now. But yeah, man, that would be really cool. I'm already
Yeah.
thinking of so many games
I
that I
would
could
I
talk
would
about.
definitely watch that video. I think that would be a
Yeah.
really good video
Yeah.
topic,
I
idea,
need to
whatever.
I have a few friends that have played some JRPGs that I haven't played. Maybe I'll pull them into it so they can talk about those. Like the games like oh, what's that one? That was on the PlayStation. Vagrant Story is one I've missed out on. I don't need to get into all
Mhm.
that here, but I mean, there's so many I've missed out, and I can pull those
Yeah,
for
a
you guys.
lot of one-offs, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
more series, like
Oh, okay.
long-standing series as JRPG series. And maybe there's not that many,
Yeah.
but anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to get into that. It'll be really good. But man, this is just we'll get into it a little bit later. But dude, like JRPG fans, we are eating so stinking good, and like it. We're gonna get into it a little bit later with Live Alive. Just oh my gosh,
Mhm.
dude.
Yeah.
Again, this is such a good time to be a gamer. We have so many good games to just play. And man, if you're just getting into gaming for the first time, like just within the last year, oh my gosh, dude, it's wild. But yeah, so Trails to Azure, loving it. I'm looking forward to getting more time into it after I finish Resident Evil 4. That kind of came out, and I was just like, okay, let me put Trails to Azure on pause so I can play this. And man, it's a good time. It's a good time. But speaking of good times, sort of, if you're Jeff Keighley,
Uh,
up here, Micah, kick us off, man. It looks like things are not looking good for E3.
No siree. This is the scheduling gods shined upon us, and uh, no, this morsel dropped on our lap right just several hours before we hit record. IGN is reporting, it's Rebecca Valentine over there, reporting that E3 2023 has been canceled officially.
Yep.
Not just rumors. There have been, leading up to this week, Ubisoft was going to pull out, and Tencent, for whatever that's worth, was pulling out. We already knew Sony wasn't there, Nintendo wasn't there,
Mhm.
Microsoft wasn't there, so on and so
Mhm.
forth. It was looking really bleak. So now we have official word, and let me read this quote. This is from Kyle Marsden Kish, the global VP of gaming at ReedPop, who was the company going to be kind of moving forward with E3. Said, "This was a difficult decision because of all the effort we and our partners put toward making this event happen, but we had to do what's right for the industry and what's right for E3. We appreciate and understand that interested companies wouldn't have playable demos ready, and that resourcing challenges excuse me, and that resourcing challenges made being at E3 this summer an obstacle they couldn't overcome. For those who did commit to E3 2023, we're sorry we can't put on the showcase you deserve and that you've come to expect from Reed Pop events experiences," end quote.
Yeah.
So yeah, the writing was kind of on the wall here, Logan.
Yeah.
It's not too surprising. I think the chatter that I'm seeing initially after this is that, and there's I linked to it in the notes. We're not gonna go over it, but
Mhm.
gamesindustry.biz, Christopher Dring over there, he did a really quickly. He had an interview up with the executive director of the ESA talking about the cancellation a little bit more in depthly. But you can go read that if you want to.
Mhm.
But basically, the gist is that they don't know the future of E3, and that
Yeah.
this might really truly be the end of the
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, myself included, that is incredibly sad.
Yeah.
E3 was a staple of my 20s growing up. Like I said, I
Mhm.
just turned 40 years old. So like
Yeah.
I remember watching one of the first ones I saw, I think, was the Microsoft showcase. I think Rock Band or Rock Band 2 was opening it up. They were like
Yeah.
playing that, and it was like Halo 2, or no, excuse me, Halo 3 was shown off, and it was super duper cool. I think it was on Spike TV or something like that.
Yeah.
And ever since then, man, it was a tradition to like get together with the bros, get your Mountain Dew, get your
Yeah,
Twizzlers,
man.
and like let's watch this cringe happen all day. And oh, by the way, cool game announcements.
Yeah.
And it was like an all day thing. And so to me, I know it's kind of been dying for years now, since 2019 or so.
Yeah.
It's been in varying forms. It's been in flux. It's been a shell of itself. and now here we are. It's officially dead. How are you feeling, Logan?
I'm kind of two minds about it. Like I've always been kind of bummed that we wouldn't get it whenever they would cancel it or things like that because there is a large part of nostalgia tied to it. You talk about getting together with your friends, with your Mountain Dews and all that stuff, and it's the same thing with me. We'd get together and watch these events, and I don't know if we watched them on Spike TV. I remember G4 TV would definitely have a stream of it, and we would be watching.
Maybe it
it
was
there.
G4.
And it's a good time. It's always exciting because you never know what you're going to get. So you're hanging out with your friends, and they announce a certain game that you weren't expecting. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, and then it's like, it's coming later this year. You're like, oh, even better, it's like, so there's just these really cool moments. And I remember even working at GameStop around the time, and we would always get excited about just, the announcements and kind of checking our reserve list, seeing what's updating with new games and the release dates. Like, hey, we're going to reserve this and this and this.
Yeah.
So we would just get excited for it. But over the years, as we just kind of seen Nintendo spearhead this charge of just doing direct video things to us via YouTube and Twitch, and seeing other companies jump on board with that, it's kind of like, I kind of don't need it anymore. At the same time, it is sad, but I just think at this point, they kind of mentioned this in the interview that 2020 and even before that, businesses are reevaluating some of the costs of these things, and it's just cheaper to kind of do a direct thing, pre-record it, cut it, upload it, and then there you go. And I think that's just kind of where we're at now as the technological state that we're in as a society. It's like, we can just upload the stream, have it go live in Discord, and we can all sit there and watch it together. And that's just what we do. For the last Nintendo Direct, that's what we did. We streamed it to our Discord server. My friends and other people on the server got on. We all watched it together. I screamed my head off because of Metroid Prime, and so I'm of two minds about it. I'm definitely going to miss it, but at the same time, I'm not going to miss it just because I think what we have now is a little bit better. However, I will be upset that I never even got to go to E3. I've always kind of wanted to go because I think that would be really fun, but now that's just not going to happen. So hopefully PlayStation will do another PlayStation experience or something. But
that's a great point. Me and my brother-in-law Brett particularly have always talked about, like, kind of dreamt about like going to E3 in some way, shape, or form. It was in Atlanta for a couple of years back in the day. I don't know if you remember. Okay. I live in Georgia, and that was like we should have tried to figure it out. It probably wasn't open to the public back then, but we should have tried to figure it out then. Anyway, I digress. The other part of this, I guess, is like, okay, woe is E3. And meanwhile, Jeff Keighley's over there like, oh yeah, let's go. He's
Keighley
being so savage right
now.
He
literally tweeted out shortly after the announcement that Summer Game Fest is coming. And I'm just like, Jeff, what are you doing?
He has no chill with this stuff. Like, seriously, every time there's a piece of bad news that comes out about E3, I've seen, every single time I've seen him do this, he'll tweet something from the Summer Games Fest account, like, "Hey, we're still doing our thing, basically over here." And truly, what he has assembled and the things that he's done recently, I've been on the show, kind of applauding him in the past. It's E3 like. As far as the announcements and the games that are there, it might as well be E3.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the the awkward CEOs standing up there talking about their brand and the cringe and the missed dialogue and all this stuff, but all of the game announcements are kind of at Summer Games Fest or something like that, just some bespoke Ubisoft event or Microsoft event or whatever that is basically in the same time frame that E3 was. So a lot of people, I think, are like, well, I don't miss it. I'd rather just have, give me the 20 minutes instead of the hour and a half that it used to be, kind of thing. And I'd rather take that. I get that argument for sure. It's just there's something nostalgic about it. I'm gonna miss a little bit.
Yeah, same here. So, dear listeners, you have to let us know what some of your favorite E3 moments are. I think we can all remember a lot of the similar ones, like that really just super hyper dude at the Ubisoft thing, like doodaloo, doodaloo.
Everyone do it with me. Doodaloo, 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 doodaloo. I said everyone go doodaloo.
I still remember that dude from time to time. I'll just be sitting there in class like, oh yeah, they did that at E3 that one year.
Dude, my favorite one I'll always mention and never forget was old Ravi drums at Nintendo with the Wii controllers doing the drums for Wii Music or whatever it was.
Oh, dude, what a trip. Dude,
speaking of Nintendo,
Yeah.
Those guys have this really great video game series called The Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
It's
never heard of it. Tell me
really,
more.
really good. Oh man. No, for real. 10 minutes of Tears of the Kingdom gameplay. Logan, did you watch this 10
Dude,
minutes?
let me tell you, because we did our fantasy draft, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
I didn't pick Tears of the Kingdom as my first show because I'm like, we haven't seen much of it. I'm worried about it. Is it going to get delayed? Are we going to see it? They showed us, prior to this, they gave us a little bit more, showed us more of the game. Like, okay, crap, never mind, I'm sold. This is all I needed. This is
Mhm.
perfect. And then they give us this 10 minutes of the gameplay, showing off the different things that they put in the game, the floating islands, the new powers, ascend and fusion, and all this stuff. And I'm like, this game is going to be off the freaking chain, dude. Like, they took the physics from from Breath of the Wild and just cranked it up to 11 even more. I didn't even think they could do this. And now I'm like, I could literally use this game to teach several of my physics things in class. And it's just, it is awesome. The game looks so good. And now I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, maybe I should have first picked this game in the draft, because now I'm feeling a little nervous because this game looks nuts, dude. There's no way this game is going to be less than a 10.
They seem to have done the thing that I think most fans that really love the game love most about Breath of the Wild, and it's the mixture of all the gameplay mechanics and how you never quite know what may happen or what may be produced when you combine this power with that power and you do this on the rocket, and oh, all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're at Ganon's castle in 2 minutes,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So like they took that and just blew it up. It's
Yeah.
almost like they did like a survey of like, okay, what do you want out of the sequel to Breath of the Wild? Better graphics, a new world to explore, or
Hmm.
like an expansion of all these like gameplay systems, and that's like what everyone checked. And it's
Yeah.
like, yes, that's super smart. Of course, you should do that. So, real quick, you mentioned them already. There's I jotted them down real quick. All the new moves that they showcase. You have recall, so you can they had
Yeah.
the rock coming down, so you can just go right back up to hit a sky island.
Hmm.
They have fuse, which is the main one. You get your weapons and fuse them together to make
Yes.
Lord knows what.
I
You
mean,
put
you
the
get,
eyeball and the arrow, and
then
it
it's a
becomes a homing
tracker.
arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Making a raft and then putting like turbines on it. And I'm just, look, I'm going to say this too, because I know some of our listeners are I mean, they're homeschoolers. You could literally use this game to teach a lot of like just basic science and physics stuff. I was sitting there watching, just marveling. I'm like, you could use this to teach a whole lesson on like buoyancy,
yeah,
on Newton's laws of motion, on like I just, granted, I'm a physics teacher, so of course I'm thinking that way. But like, this game is nuts, dude. You could use it for geography already. I've seen teachers do that, but just seeing this game and like all the different physics that are going on, like it's mind blowing to me.
yeah,
It's just awesome.
yeah. They showed off the ascend ability where you
Yes.
can go into like a cave or anything that has a ceiling, basically, and you
Mhm.
just go right on up and come on out the top.
Yep.
That's a
Oh
cool
my
new feature
gosh.
that saves on like, climbing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's gonna be used in all sorts of interesting ways, I think.
Yeah.
They hinted like, well, if you're in a cage, like you know what to do, kind of
Mhm.
hinting that something may happen there. And just the last thing I'm gonna say, or not last thing, but one of the things that this video was this had Nintendo charm all over it
Yeah.
all over it. E.G. Onuma and the translator slash English person who's doing the presentation and talking.
Mhm.
It's so Nintendo in all the right ways.
Yeah.
It was just a delight. I grabbed as soon as the footage dropped, or not as soon as, like at lunchtime that day when the footage dropped. I grabbed the kids. We sat right here behind me on this TV and we watched the 10 minutes, and they were all like, "Whoa, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
We were all
Yeah.
freaking out together. It was such a good presentation. Um, and it's just it just depends on the game, but it's just neat that I can pull them into like, hey, let's all enjoy this
Yeah.
together. Like we all watched it for the first time together, and we were
Yeah.
all kind of my Ava May, my middle daughter, she kept looking at me like she loves like reactions, of like seeing, so she kept like looking back at me like, are you seeing this, Dad? I'm like,
That's
yeah, this is
awesome.
awesome. So
Oh,
just
man.
good presentation.
Yeah.
I have this in the listener league, and in the Dear Critics League, I'll say. So I'm very
Good for you, man.
excited. Very excited.
You, I do want to also point out they did, which by the way, good luck getting these, but they did show off a Tears of the Kingdom themed Switch OLED unit.
Yeah.
Which again, good luck getting one of these. I just, it's going to be online. It's going to be a pain in the butt to get one of these because of just scalpers. So the obligatory screw you scalpers is coming out right here.
Yeah.
But it does look cool. It does look cool. I'm not going to get one because my Switch is still fine, but
I
if
was
you don't have a
eyeing
Switch,
I was eyeing the Pro Controller actually because I wouldn't mind getting a new one of those. But I just don't know. We'll see. All that stuff it just looks great though. Get a few more news items. We'll kind of hammer through the rest of these three really quickly and then get into some of the Patron write-ins. I mentioned this last week, Logan. I stinking mentioned this. This is why this is in the news. It's not necessarily the biggest news item, but I'm bringing this back up because I said this, and not that it's that much of a guess. The first Spider-Man launched in September, but the news is that the voice actor for Venom, who's presumably going to be this guy named Tony Todd, he's been kind of a chatty Cathy on Twitter even before this news happened about the fact that he's playing Venom.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, and actually, I was like, geez, I need to pull it up. I don't have the exact tweet pulled up. He said this on Twitter: "Looks like September! Exclamation point! Massive publicity coming in August. Commercials start dropping in August, so I'm told. Hold on to your ellipses and hold breath! Exclamation point! Gonna be necessary." End quote.
Gosh dang it, dude. I love it. I love it when voice actors do this.
I was just about to say the same. Music, like composers and voice actors, man, they don't know, like they can't not for some reason.
It's like when Norman Reedus did this about Death Stranding too, and it's like, Norman, what are you doing, man?
Right? Yeah, it looks like we're doing a sequel. It's like, oh, like it was so casual, like we almost didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Of course, we now know that it's true, but like this is definitely happening. Now, I will say this: plans can change, especially if well, I'll take that back. He would have found this out supposedly after the Starfield news. It could change because of Starfield, is what I'm getting at. I think that was September 6th or 8th or something like that.
I think somewhere around there.
But if they don't, man, dude, we're getting the heavyweight matchup. Like I love this. Like not for the console wars. I just love that. Like you get these two huge games, and it's like, dude, this is so cool. Like there again, dude. 2023 is going to be a year to remember.
Yeah,
you got just casual Spider-Man 2 and Starfield dropping in the same month. Oh, no big deal. Like get out of here, man. That's awesome.
Two of the biggest games of the year. Two highly anticipated games. Dropping
two games of the generation, Logan. Not necessarily just games of the year. Like these are generational games,
Yeah.
So,
dude, I'm here for it, man. I'm stoked. I just, when I read this, I was like, dude, what are you doing? At the same time, I love it. Thank you for just giving that to us. Yeah. Also, good luck playing Venom. Don't screw him up. He's my favorite Spider-Man character.
Oh boy, yeah, very excited. I we don't know when we're getting a Sony showcase, but hopefully that'll be sometime before this June E3 timeline. Hopefully by summer we'll see some Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Logan, this is yours mainly.
Yes, it is.
Live Alive is coming to Steam, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 this April. What? No Xbox?
That's what I was going to bring up. So first of all, when I found this out, I lost my mind this morning. I was like, let's go. Live Alive, one of my favorite games of last year. Great surprise. I loved it. Demo is available right now on PS4, PS5, and Steam. Go check it out. I've already got the game pre-ordered. You can save 20% if you get the game. We're not sponsored by them. I just love the game that much. It's just, oh gosh, what a game, dude. I have a video on it. Just go watch it on the YouTube channel. But yeah, I was excited, man. April, this is perfect because I will finish Trails to Azure by then, by the time it comes out. I'm never going to get to Persona 3 at this point. These games keep dropping.
No.
It's just, might as well forget about it. But I'm so hyped. I cannot wait to play this game again in 60 frames per second on my PS5, get some trophies. And as long as the trophies aren't stupid, I'll go for the platinum. I can already tell there's going to be one trophy that's you play through the ninjas storyline without killing anybody except for like the major bosses. And I'm like, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. But I did notice that you mentioned it at the top there. I'm like, no Xbox. Excuse me? That's because again, I want as many people to play this game as possible because I think the game's just really good. But I did that confused me a little bit because we've had Octopath Traveler on Xbox. I believe Octopath Traveler 2 is also on Xbox. Is it not?
No, it's not.
It's
That's part
not.
of this whole weird stuff is that 2 is not.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I don't get why games like Live Alive and Octopath Traveler 2 aren't on Xbox. I don't get it
yeah.
in the slightest. Your
See,
Final Fantasy 7 remakes, your Final Fantasy 16s, sure, I guess I understand that, but these kind of games, why not?
This is kind of where I'm thinking, dude, because we've been wondering, is Sony gonna buy Square Enix? And this kind of pushes me a little further down. Like, are they doing that?
It's more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, it's just
It's
weird.
It is weird. I think there's about to be some new leadership at Square Enix, meaning the current CEO or president is stepping down, and that's already in like motion. It's not news or anything. So I don't know, just like the amount of games they dropped in the past like 12 months or 6 months even is kind of crazy. Like the list of games, you can go look it up. It's like over 10 games or something like that. It's kind of nuts. Like everything from not Valkyria. What's it called? I'm blanking.
Like Valkyrie Profile, Lenneth,
Valkyrie Profile. Yeah,
DFO
all those
Chronicles,
things.
Forspoken.
Yeah, there's a ton of games. Tactics Ogre remastered. I'm blanking. There's a ton of games. The way they're putting them out is just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
and then you do Live with no X. I don't get it. There's a lot of these games don't have Xbox, and those seem like the prime games you would put on the platform.
Yeah.
So either Sony or someone is buying Square Enix, or something really weird is happening with like some restructuring or something, and they needed to hit a certain like benchmark or line with some financials by the end of this quarter that's ending like literally like tonight, tomorrow kind of thing. I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to just jump to Sony's going to buy them. Maybe not. It may just be they're going to go and they're going through a weird phase, but this doesn't make any sense. I'm beating a dead horse. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to really add to it either. I just thought it was a really weird omission because, I mean, again, Live Alive is a good game. The games that I really enjoy, I want as many people to play as possible, and this is just one of those games, and it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's weird.
I will say this. I was, there again, kind of looking at the games coming up and what I want to buy. Like, I know I'm going to get and play Jedi Survivor, for example, and I know I'm going to play Zelda, and I'm going to play, Final Fantasy 16. So I'm looking at like the Horizon DLC, Burning Shores, comes out in April, and I love that game. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
It's a $20 DLC. It seemed like something I would usually jump into. But what I'm thinking, Logan, is that I might get this game, Live Alive, or Octopath Traveler 2, and play one of those in April after Resident Evil 4, perhaps. And get into one of those, because I kind of am itching to get into one of these kind of JRPGs like that, like a one-off. And Octopath is getting a lot. Octopath Traveler 2 is getting a lot of praise, and Live Alive, it just looks intriguing, and everything that you said about it. So I may pick one of these up.
Yeah, again, I've got a video on Live Alive. I've waxed eloquent about this game so much. Just go play the demo. Don't start with the ninja, because that's like in my experience, that was the hardest play style. Go to the other two routes with the characters that you have. I think you have the future one, and then you have the karate master who's searching for a successor, is what you have in the demo. They might have changed that up, but or play with the ninja. You might really like the stealth gameplay where it's more like Tenshu style. Not exactly like that, but it's more stealth based.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just such a good game. Y'all do not sleep on this game, I'm telling you. But
yeah, I'm seriously considering it, but I'll let you know. I'll report back.
Yeah, man.
Okay, last piece of news before we get into the patron write-ins, and this came in literally right before we hit record. So this is crazy how off the presses. This is a leak, I guess. Wario64 tweeted it, and this is from the Twitter account Jaw Muncher. and there is a screenshot, like a UI screenshot of Game Pass Friends and Family that is in. This is a US account in a screenshot just on the UI of the Xbox, or maybe on a desktop or a PC or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, it says Game Pass Friends and Family 1 month for $39.95. Automatically continues at $39.95 per month after that. But the checkboxes over here are: share the fun of Game Pass. Ultimate benefits shared among 5 friends and family. Include friends and family outside your household. Enjoy hundreds of games together, including new releases on day one. Each account gets their own history, achievements, gamer tag, and saves. Play the same time
Holy
on
crap.
console, PC, and cloud. With games added all the time, there's always something new for everyone. That's sort of the, what is that, 6 bullet points there on this marketing page here that looks very official with a join now button. There have been rumors, Logan, about a friends and family version of Game Pass, and this
Yeah.
will allow up to 5 people. So, the old Netflix account share and password stuff for Game Pass. What do you think here?
Dude, this sounds awesome. I mean, I know people will be like, yeah, you guys hate Xbox. Well, you don't hate Xbox. This is cool. I'm not going to lie. I've already got a few people in mind that I can hook up with, and we can kind of split this up and start going for it, man. Each account gets their own history, achievements, gamer tag. Like, that is stinking cool.
Yeah, this is not an official announcement. This is a leak.
Right,
So
this is what we're looking at here.
this is all that we know. Everything I just said is all that we know. So we're just kind of hypothesizing here a little bit. And I'm doing the math, and it's about, I guess that's what, like about $8 a person, if it comes about a month, which, you're getting ultimate. This isn't just, the console Game Pass. You're getting ultimate Game Pass by the looks of it. So that's some savings there. I don't see why anyone wouldn't do this unless you're already grandfathered in with Game Pass, but everyone that's kind of like savvy and in the video game kind of, like gamers, I feel like everyone would take advantage of this with their friends and, friend groups and families and stuff. This seems like the way to go. I don't see any downsides or catches, Logan. What's got you tickled?
Sorry, I'm looking at this person's tweet, and this is coming from. I was kind of checking this person out. Like, is this a fake person? Like, who is this?
Oh,
but this is the Dino Crisis community rep. Apparently, no, that's just fake stuff. They're just a big fan of it. Okay, I was looking at their quote tweets, and and it says, Netflix, what if we killed account sharing? Microsoft, screw it. Anyone you know can play games on Game Pass. Please just subscribe. I mean, they use more colorful language, but you get the idea. That was pretty funny.
Sure. No, this this does support Microsoft's stance of like, we want as many people to play games as possible. This would allow for more of that.
Gosh.
Yeah, because they're not
That's
taking
cool.
too much of a hit as far as how much money you're giving them a month.
Yeah.
But if it ropes in your 2 buddies that don't have Game Pass already, well then there you go. That's good for Microsoft. So, excuse me. This is very cool. There again, I don't see a downside to it, though. I'm sure, as we kind of get into it, maybe one will come out. But as of this leak, thumbs up.
Yeah, man. Definitely exciting stuff. So, dear listeners, if you see this pop up on your Xbox dashboard, I'm going to go check after we finish recording here. But if this pops up on your dashboard, hit us up and let us know. Send us a picture or something on Twitter or in the Discord server, because I'm very curious in this. Like I said, I've already got a couple friends in mind that we can jump in on this. And I'm sure there's plenty of people in the TRG community that would love to start getting hooked up with this and set it up. There's a group of us that are doing that with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion thing. We're all grouped up together and sharing a bit of the cost there so we can enjoy all the benefits. But yeah, that's really cool. That is really, really cool. But speaking of things that are also really cool is our patrons that write in. As always, if you're a patron of the show, you can write in to every episode of TRG over on patreon.com/reformgamers. Put up a thread before we record each and every episode. We compile them together, add them in the docket, and then we get into it here at the end of the episode. Or if we try to spice them. Yeah, no, we spice them in a little bit if we can, but this time we couldn't. So we're going to get them right now, starting with Jonathan Harrison. He writes, let's talk video game music. I remember holding up a tape recorder to the TV to record background music for Mega Man 2 and Maniac Mansion. I'm so glad I wasn't the only one that did something similar. Did you ever have video game music connect with you at a young age? It's less strange to listen to game music post 16-bit eras, of course, because you got all the music soundtracks on Spotify, so you can just listen to them at any time. But man, I've got at least 2 to 3 games that I can think of. But Micah, let's start with you, man. What are some video game music that just connected with you at a young age?
Well, it seems like I'm going to limit myself to the 8 and 16-bit era, kind of per John's instructions here. And when I was thinking about that era, man, I really had a harder time because when I really started getting into video game music was that 32-bit post kind of PlayStation and
Mm,
everything after
yeah.
era, I will say. But the ones that stand out in my brain are Mike Tyson's Punch Out,
Oh
for the
man.
Nintendo, for the NES. The when you're on the bike, or when are you on the bike or are you jogging behind your trainer who's on the bike? I can't remember. Anyway, you're running
Oh,
through
I
the
don't know.
city of like New York and there's this music playing. That is like ingrained in my head. That tune, everyone who's played it knows what I'm talking about. And then
Mhm.
of course, just the Legend of Zelda,
Yeah.
like the original OG Legend of Zelda,
Mhm.
that theme, that's where that theme song came from. Um, that was like, and of course, the Super Mario Brothers,
Yep.
music, which is of course iconic, like almost instantly. Uh, that stuff was like embedded in my head as a kid. I didn't do the whole, holding up a tape recorder up to the TV to record things. I wasn't that smart to think about things like that. But yeah, Legend of Zelda, Mike Tyson's Punch Out were a couple that came to mind for me.
Yeah. I think for me, obviously, Super Mario Brothers was a big part of just my gaming childhood. That was like the first game I played really with both my parents, and we just would always play it. And really, even to this day, there's times like I'll be editing this show or just hanging out on my computer, and I'll just find myself going like, dun na 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 dun na 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 dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Just doing stuff like that, or I'll be at school like grading papers, and I'll just be like do 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 do. The underwater music, like just the music from Super Mario Brothers lives in my head rent free, and it just pops up every now and then. I've got like not necessarily the music from TMNT on the NES, but that part where you're underwater and you have to avoid the electric like seaweed stuff, and like the electric shock stuff will play in my head randomly, and I'm just like, gosh, I hate that sound so much. And then of course you got Sonic the Hedgehog, where if you're underwater too long, it starts like
Ah,
just
yeah.
increasing the sound, where it just like induces anxiety. Yeah, stop. It just, I guess it's the more traumatizing music that's kind of stuck with me. But those are the ones that I've connected with at a pretty young age that I still remember to this day, even that just kind of sticks with me. I think we want to talk about just like, I mean, gosh, dude, the Halo music. If we want to go past that too, but
Yeah,
that's
you're
getting a little
talking
too far.
post 16. Now I've got
Yeah,
tons of thoughts, but
yeah,
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 8 and 16, I just don't remember caring about music as much in that
yeah.
era of life, but certainly it had a big impact on the
Yeah,
experience for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. So that was a fun one. Jonathan, thank you for writing in.
Yeah.
Alex also writes in and says, "Hi, Logan and Micah. Since I don't really have a more timely news related question, I'll ask you some things that I'm more curious about. Feel free to answer as few or as many as time will allow." Now, Micah, here's what I want to do with this, because he asked us several questions here. And
Okay.
I think for this first one, we'll talk about it, discuss it a little bit. But the next three, I want to do rapid fire, where I just ask the
Yeah.
question and you say the first thing that comes into your head.
Yep.
Let's do that. All
Perfect.
right. Alex's first question is, what was your first RPG ever? And so he lists a couple to just kind of help jog our memories: Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, Pokemon, Fantasy Star, etc. Those kind of games, man. What's the first one for you? Because I think for me, I think Pokemon was my first RPG. Getting Pokemon Red and Blue on Game Boy was kind of how I first got introduced to that, and just been like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, I love turn-based combat. This is really cool. Blastoise
Now
is the best starter.
is that 1998? Well, like what year is
Oh
that?
gosh, dude, I don't know. Let me mute myself and I'll go look real quick.
Sure, sure. I'll talk about mine real quick. Man, I'm so embarrassed. I think a lot of people know it, and it makes me feel like such a dweeb. It really, really does. Like such a poser. My first JRPG was Final Fantasy VII. Legit. I didn't play any
Dang, dude.
JRPGs pre PlayStation. So there again, I had an NES. Didn't play any on there, and I
Mhm.
had a Genesis, which didn't have any JRPGs. No, I'm just kidding. It had a few, but not as many great ones as Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, I think they had Fantasy Star.
So the genre wasn't like lush, and I just wasn't into it. I was into like side-scrolling beat 'em ups like Streets of Rage and stuff like that.
Yeah, great game.
So it was when I got into video game magazine culture, is when I discovered what JRPGs were even. Like I was completely unaware of the genre for the most part. And so I got my PlayStation and got my first issue of PSM magazine.
Oh man,
And I
taking
saw
us
that
back.
I saw that they gave Final Fantasy VII a 5 out of 5. I'm like, whoa, what's this? Let me go check this out. And I rented it from Farmore a whole bunch of times, like we said last episode.
Yeah.
And that was my first JRPG, was Final Fantasy VII. Yeah.
Right on, man. That's awesome. Dude, you were right on the money with that. Pokemon Red and Blue came to North America September 28th, 1998. And that was, I got it that Christmas with a Game Boy.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because I was curious how it lined up. Even though you and I are not the same age, we got into JRPGs almost at the exact same time, because Final Fantasy VII was 1997.
Oh, okay.
So we got into JRPGs at different times in life, but almost at the exact same time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm because I looked this up. I'm looking at the box art and the screenshot. See, this is taking me back, dude. Oh man,
nostalgic trip.
I love Pokemon Red and Blue easily. Gold and Silver, I rank it higher than Red and Blue just because of the way that, dude, the way that you beat Gold and Silver, and then it opens up and you go back to everything from the first game. Go fight all the gym leaders, and you fight your main character from that. Oh my gosh, dude. That's how you do a sequel, is Gold and Silver, man. But these, dude, just the old school box art. Blastoise is my boy forever. All right. So here are these rapid fire questions. I'm just going to read it, and man, just say the first thing that comes to your head. All right.
I'm ready. So, I'm prepared. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So here's the next thing that he asked. What is your least favorite Nintendo game series?
Splatoon.
Oh my gosh, dude, me too. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, easily Splatoon. Yes. I'm not saying Splatoon's bad. I'm just saying it's my least favorite because I don't care. I've played it before. It's fine.
Could care less. I
just don't get into it. I was looking at the franchises that Alex listed here. Super Mario, that's what I cut my gaming teeth on. Love Super Mario. Yeah. Kirby, I love Kirby. I think in the last episode I talked about how that Kirby game that's coming to the Game Boy on the Nintendo Switch Online thing. I'm like, I'm gonna play that game a ton. Like I played that so much as a kid.
Yeah, I like Kirby.
F-Zero, I am low key passionate about, which I don't know. And that might be a redundant statement or just ironic, whichever one, oxymoron. Whatever. I love F-Zero. I got F-Zero on Super Nintendo. Awesome game. I was terrible at it. Loved it. F-Zero GX on the GameCube. Loved it. I am so mad that we still have not gotten a good F-Zero game. Well, let me rephrase this. I'm still mad we haven't gotten a new F-Zero game since what? GameCube, I think. You've gotten the arcade stuff, but like, come on, man. Yeah. Pikmin, I love Pikmin. Animal Crossing, I obviously love. I streamed that on Twitch for the longest time in 2020. So I'm just like, yeah, Splatoon gets the cut here.
Yeah.
It's just least favorite. All right, next one. What is your least favorite Sony game series?
Killzone.
Wow, okay. I was going to go with Infamous.
Really? I love Infamous.
So here's why I say Infamous, because I've only played Second Son and First Light, and I'm like, these are fine. I like them. I haven't played Infamous, just the other ones, and so I'm missing out on that. That's why it's my least favorite. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I haven't played them. I don't have the connection there, and so it is what it is.
I don't blame you. Killzone. I tried to, with these, I tried to write ones that I have actually played. I haven't played a ton of Splatoon, but I've played enough. And I've played Killzone. I've played all of the Killzone games. Sadly, they're just pretty good. They're like very unmemorable.
Yeah.
As soon as you get done with them, you just like you've already forgot what you just played, kind of thing.
Fair enough.
It's like good mechanics and stuff, but it's like blah the FPS.
Okay. Right on. This is gonna be fun to see what some of our listeners have to say about this. All right, last one. What is your least favorite Microsoft game series?
I actually wrote a few down. This isn't going to be rapid fire.
Okay.
Because I need to explain myself.
Okay.
The first one I wrote down was Minecraft. I've praised it in other avenues on the show. It related to my kids and stuff, and I stand by that. For me, it's not for me at all. It's not for me. I could care less about Minecraft for the most part. Minecraft Dungeons, not the same.
Mhm.
Minecraft could care less about it. Another one that I wrote down, and this is kind of recently Microsoft via Bethesda. I can't get into the Dishonored games, man.
Mm.
I've
I can understand
tried,
that, you know?
and it's just not. I feel like I'm always doing something wrong in those
Yep.
games. Like I'm not playing it the way that I need to, and I
Yep.
want the game to pat me on the back and be like, "You're doing it right, buddy," and to pat my
Yeah.
tushy. And, and this game doesn't do that. Um, no, I mean I don't have to have that, but no, this game and me are like oil and water.
Mhm.
I played. I gave it the old college try on Dishonored 1, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it. So yeah.
So I've played Dishonored, 1 and a little bit of 2. I did a clean hands, no kill run on Dishonored 1, got the platinum for the game.
Oh wow.
And I can tell you that mechanically, Dishonored is one of the best design games I've ever played. However, I hate that it's a game about being an assassin and it punishes you for doing assassin things. And it's like you get the bad ending if you kill people, and it's like you're an assassin though. You're supposed to. I get the
Yeah.
concept of it from like a moral perspective in the context of the game, but it's just never really set well with me. And so I can understand that.
Yeah, but part of it, and let me explain myself even further. Part of why I don't like these games is I grew up with the Metal Gear Solid games of like
Mm,
that vein of stealth,
yeah.
and like if I get seen, dude, I'm starting over. Like I'm like
Yep.
pause, go to the last checkpoint, start over.
Yep.
I'm not getting seen in these games, and so I wanted to do that in Dishonored, and every time it went south, I felt just out of sorts, and I didn't really want. It didn't feel right to start over and stuff,
Yeah.
so just didn't mix with that game. But yeah.
Yeah. Was there a third one that you had?
Yeah, only because I think like it's kind of like every time it pops up at E3 or E3 rip, um, a- anytime at a Microsoft showcase, I'm like, who's playing this series? I've never played it, but I'm like, who's playing this? State of Decay, get out of here!
Oh yeah.
Like
I
where it's at every, it seems like it's at every Microsoft event all the time. Like some State of Decay something. I'm like, can we not with these
Yeah.
games? But
I'm gonna be
anyway,
honest. I've completely forgot about that series actually.
exactly,
So
exactly.
I guess does that make my pick then? I don't. I mean, I just kind of forgot about it. I was gonna say Viva Pinata, but then I'm sitting here looking at this, and I'm like, I like Viva Pinata a little bit more than Forza Motorsport. You know, and again, it's not to say Forza Motorsport is a bad game. I just don't really like sim racer games. You know, that's
Yeah,
why I like
sure.
Forza Horizon. I can't get enough of those games. Viva Pinata is just. I feel like that was like one of the games on the 360 where it's like everybody has played it or has heard of it. Like I remember when I worked at GameStop, we would constantly talk about this game and just how goofy it is. Like just the vibrant colors. Just when's Viva Pinata making a comeback is what I want to know.
For real.
I
Yeah.
actually like that game. That was a good game. Viva Pinata 1 and 2. Let's get a third one. Come on, Xbox. What are you doing? Bring it. I'll buy it. But yeah, Alex, thank you for the write in. He does end his note here with keep up the good work. We definitely will. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Moving over to John Hannon. He says, if you were able to choose today from any game presently available, what game would you choose as the first to introduce your child to video games? Dark Souls 1.
Easily. I mean, you could argue Sekiro, but
yeah. Oh gosh, no, I don't want them to just not play games at all. That's just no. I thought about this a lot today. Actually, this is John. I got to admit,
yeah,
your question is the one that stuck with me the most today.
good question. Yep.
Not trying to disparage anybody else's writing. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what would I want my kid to play first? And I got to be honest, man. I think I would start them off with what got me into gaming: Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, the dual cartridge thing, man. Like, I just because that got me into it. And I would combine that with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles so they can be traumatized like I was with the underwater section. You know, you have a fun one in Mario.
Oh, the
and
original.
and then you have the nightmare inducing one with the electric seaweed. It's like, you know, just do that.
Yeah.
But
Have a
knowing
good balance there.
my kids, they'll probably be better at it than I will, and they'll beat it and like this isn't hard. you know.
What's funny about this question, John, is that I have 3 kids, and I don't think I started them with any of these games that I have listed here. It probably was somewhere around the Super Mario Brothers tree, but I don't actually remember what the first games my kids played were. I wrote down actually 4 games that I think would be all great nominees. Super Mario Brothers 3,
Mm,
arguably the greatest game of all time.
yeah, that's a good one.
It's just it's I picked 3 because it cleans up all of the stuff from 2 is just kind of an oddball, but it cleans up all the controls from 1, and it's just a masterpiece. It just is.
Yeah,
So that would be, and to, I think that Super Mario Brothers 1 or Super Mario Brothers 3 might be the most common answer you hear from people who are like our age,
yeah.
that just grew up in that era. And that just seems like such a basic thing. Someone maybe a little bit older with the Atari era, they may say like, oh, I don't know, Miss Pac-Man, which is a fine answer too.
Oh, dude, that's a good
But
game too.
but I think Super Mario Brothers 3, kind of hard to go wrong with it. My nephew is getting into video games right now via Super Mario Brothers, and it's really neat to watch. But anyway,
Yeah.
the other 3 games, Tetris. I wrote down Tetris. I think that would be a cool one to start with.
Classic.
And as much as I'm going back and forth with this game, I would include Minecraft in this list. I would say
Oh,
Minecraft
okay.
would be a fine one to introduce, depending
Yeah.
on kind of. I'm offering a few depending on what avenue you want to go, 3D, 2D, whatever. And the last one I'll say is Journey. The PlayStation, well, I guess it's on other things now. It's on lots of things, but it was originally a PlayStation exclusive. I think this game is for most ages. This is a game, if someone's getting into video games, say as like a 8+ year old, not like a 4-year-old kind of thing. I wouldn't do that to a 4-year-old. But if they're a little bit older and they're just getting into games, I would maybe hand them the controller and let them play Journey and see what they think about that.
Yeah. That's really cool. I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I like that a lot. Dear listeners, you have to let us know. I mean, some of our listeners are parents. What games did you start your kids off with? Let us know. I think that'd be a fun conversation to have. John, thank you for the write-in. Let's switch over to Dorian Taylor, rounding out our show with just Dorians and Sojourners next. Dorian asks, what's your general strategy for beating long games that are in your library, along with any other games? With Tears of the Kingdom coming up, I'm trying to plow through a number of games so that I can spend time with it. Man, this has been something I've been trying to figure out for the last few months, and I just settled on just focusing on one game at a time. Like when I was, again, I picked the wrong time to start playing Persona 5 Royal this year. I did finish it, but I started playing that, and then something else had come out, and I forget what it was, but then I just focused on that, and it might have been Trails to Azure, maybe. No, it was something else. I can't remember what it was. But I just try to focus on one game at a time. That's like with Resident Evil just came out. I put Trails to Azure on the back burner so I could focus on that, and that's kind of been what I've been focusing on the most. Before that, it was Trails to Azure, and then before that, it was Persona 5 Royal, finishing that up, and then before that, it was Metroid Prime Remastered. That's what it was, because I was playing that, and then boom, that came out. I was like, all right, well, and then Hogwarts Legacy. So I try to just focus on one game at a time and just put all my free gaming time into that. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to the next one. And so that's what I try to do. But with Persona 5 Royal, I was like, okay, I have to hit pause on this and go play something else. Like I've got to do it because it just came out. That's what I've been waiting for. And so that's what I did. Yeah, it was Metroid Prime Remastered, actually, because then no, it was Dead Space. It was the Dead Space remake, and then it was Hogwarts Legacy, and then it was Trails. It was Metroid Prime Remastered. So yeah, it was just all that stuff. So I just try to focus on one game at a time, and I don't try to. In previous years, when we've done the show, I try to speed through games as much as I can. I don't really do that anymore. I try to get as much out of the game as I possibly can. That's why I played through Dead Space I think 2 or 3 times. It's just because I wanted to get as much out of the game as I felt like I wanted, and so that's kind of what I do. But yeah, with that's I don't know. I'm mumbling at this point. Micah, what do you got?
Sure. Dorian, there's no one answer to this. It's literally different for everybody. It all depends on the time you have available, your playing sensibilities, your tastes, what your library actually looks like, and how intent you are on knocking it out. So I'm kind of the wrong person to ask because, like I've said before, I don't really have a backlog. Like I just don't. I know that sounds weird and strange. Like, how is that so? Like, yes, I've got PlayStation Plus games, but I buy the one game I want and then I play it and then I move on and I get the next game I want or
Yep.
download the next game I want or whatever and then move on.
Yep.
And like you just said, I go one at a time. And so if you've like Dorian, if you've got like 3 big games to get through before Zelda, like sorry, like I don't know what to tell you. Like if you got 3 short games to get through, maybe you could do that. But like even then, I just don't know how much time you have. So the way I think about long games and fitting them in is like it's got to be pockets. I can't do like long game, long game, long game. And if you're like a JRPG lover, then that's all you ever do, knock yourself out. But for me, I'm thinking like, okay, I've got Zelda in May. So I can probably get through this game. I'm a maybe get Live Alive and I can squeeze that in. And then like I need to stop. Like, and then after Zelda, I'll think like, okay, maybe it's gonna be time to go back to an 80-hour RPG or something. You know, I can squeeze that in the fall. You gotta find times where there's gonna be kind of lulls in the release schedule as far as like if you're gonna be picking up new games like Tears of the Kingdom. So you got to find those pockets where like, okay, October is going to be the time where I can definitely finally dig into Persona 4, you know, and go ahead and do that. So I try to find those pockets in the year where like me personally, I can do like 2 or 3 of those maybe, or like 2 or 3 like 70+ hour games a year.
Yeah.
Otherwise like I don't have the time. So I guess, does that answer the question? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny you bring up JRPGs because I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, I've got until the end of April to finish Trails to Azure, which I'm pretty confident I can do. And then I could maybe squeeze in Trails of Cold Steel 1 in there as well. But once the end of April gets here, I'm playing Live Alive until maybe not until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, but most likely until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, because that's going to be a 30-hour JRPG right there, maybe 40, but still, I think I can.
Just real quick, talking about scheduling out time and playing games and stuff, the thing that's got me right now is Jedi Survivor and Tears of the Kingdom are way too close together for my liking.
Jedi Survivor coming out?
April 28th. So it's like 2 weeks before. And I guess that's maybe enough time, but it's not enough time to platinum for me, which is what I'm going to want to do with that game. So like, I'm like 2023, slow down, please. Just stop for a minute, pause. I need to catch up. I haven't even gone back and done the Dead Space full, like the true ending thing I wanted to do yet. And I'm like, like I've got one platinum trophy this year, Logan. One.
Wow, dude. Wow.
Because I'm just not, I don't have time to keep on. I just got to move on to the next game. So yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I've only gotten 1 platinum trophy this year too. No, it's Persona 5 Royal.
It does make me feel better. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so dear listeners, as always, let us know some of your tips as well. I'm curious to know if there's anyone in our community that like juggles games, because I've done that in the past and I've always hated it because I feel like I never make a good enough amount of progress in any
Very rarely do I do that. Yeah, so, it's hard.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm very curious. Let's round out the show with Sojourners right in. What's your favorite, what's your favorite and least favorite trope in gaming? And I've got one I can just think of just already because Hogwarts Legacy did this. My least favorite is when you have to follow an NPC and they're walking so stinking slow. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, let's hurry this up. Let's get to the location. What are you doing? You know, I get you're trying to tell some story bits and we're talking and all that stuff, but like, I don't care. Let's get to the thing. Like, gosh dang, I want to pull the balls on the wooden board thing and see if I can beat out freaking Gareth over here. Stupid
Akio.
Yeah, that stuff, you know, like, it's just, I hate it when games do that. There's some games that I don't mind. I say that and I can't think of any games. I hate it when that stuff happens. Like it
it happens a lot. That's especially in the third person, RPG adventure, actual whatever,
It's like, guys, come on. Let's keep it going here.
Yeah.
So that's probably my least favorite. What about you, Micah?
I had a hard time thinking up some. I did think up a favorite and a least favorite, but I don't know if I like love this trope or hate this trope. It's just ones that like, I like this, and ones like, I don't like this. And there's 2 games that exemplify both of these things, I think. The thing that I like is the trope where like you get on like a mounted gunner and you just like, and then the
Mm,
waves of enemies come for
yep.
you to mow them down. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? It's
Hmm.
like there's never this many enemies, but there are now because you're on the gunner.
Yeah.
That I love those kinds of sections.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Gears of War has a section like this, or one of the Gears games. When you're
Yeah.
doing the sniper part with Joel from The Last of Us, that is kind of the
Mm,
same thing.
yep.
And then the one that I hate is when, again, Last of Us, Gears of War, you're walking through an area, you're going in doing story stuff, you're talking, you're doing story stuff, but there's all these like waist high crates everywhere. You know you're coming back through this area and there's going to be a fight in this area because there's like all
Hmm.
this stuff you can hide behind and crouch behind. Like this is like the
Yeah.
setup that it would be if there's going to be a fight,
Yeah.
but there's not. We're just doing story stuff right now as we're walking through.
Yeah.
And so it's just like the tell that like, no, when you come back here, it's going to be a scuffle because here's all the stuff that shows you where the
Yeah.
scuffle goes down. So I don't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I can understand that. I was trying to think through what my favorite trope is, and like I don't know if this is necessarily like a trope per se, but I love it when you just start off in a game kind of in a weak state, but then by the time you're done, you're just stupid overpowered, and it's like
Mm,
it's just so much fun because then you feel like you're just unleashed at that point. Metroid Dread did this really, really well. The Batman Arkham games do this insanely well.
yeah.
It's just I don't know if, and again, I don't know if this is necessarily a trope as so much as game design, but just like as you level up in the game, there's a point where you just get overpowered and you're just laying waste to everything. It's just like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So much fun. So much fun. And now I want to play Metroid Dread again because of that. And the end of that game is just insanely cool. People, if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like right after you beat the final boss, and it's just so bonkers. Anyway, dear patrons, thank you for writing in to the show. But that brings us to the end of episode 239. You know, Micah, I was thinking, I was like, man, we're doing episode 239 tonight. That's a lot of episodes
Yeah.
that we've done, man. It's crazy that we're hitting this. We're gonna be at 250 soon. It is.
It's rocking and rolling. It's going to
wild.
be here. I don't know. When did I start? Was it May last year? It's going to be coming up on a
I
year
don't
for
know,
me
man.
on the
I
show.
think
So
I
yeah,
think it
time's just
is.
flying.
I think it is, man. It's wild, dude. It is wild. But speaking of things that are wild, maybe they're not as wild. I don't know. Depends on what you think. Some recos, some things that y'all need to check out as you end this episode. Micah, what's a reco for our dear patrons or dear listeners?
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah, of course, everybody, all listeners can check out this recommendation, gamesindustry.biz. I've been talking a lot about outlets, places that we get our news from when we compile the show, when we get the news and look at everything. Like I said in the past episodes, you keep seeing these common sources that people keep citing back to, and this is another one, gamesindustry.biz, and particularly Christopher Dring is one of the writers over there, does great work. This is another UK-based outlet, and these guys were, in my opinion, they led the way on all the coverage of like the UK CMA stuff with Activision Blizzard. Chris
Mhm.
String was at the hearings and stuff and listening to the
Oh,
president of
cool.
Microsoft talk about it in the room. Like he's that kind of reporter. Really good stuff. This website is more of like industry insider kind of. It's not like typical gaming headlines. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
so and so broke off from this company and now has created a new studio. Things
Okay.
like that. Things of that
Yeah.
nature. A little bit more businessy side of things.
Mhm.
But they do some great reporting over there. Gamesindustry.biz.
Right on, man. Well, my reco is, and this is just perfectly timed, go play the Live Alive demo on Steam, PS4, PS5 if you have access to it. Because one, again, I really like this game. This game really surprised me last year. I want more people to play it and check it out. If it's not your thing, that's fine. If you play the demo and you at least try it out, and you're like, hey, man, played it, not really feeling it, that's fine. But if you play it and you're like, holy crap, I need to play this game, just saying, your save, if it's like the Switch one, your save carries over into the main game. So you can finish one character's quest, or no, you get halfway through it, and then you can carry that over, and then it's just really good. So
Yeah.
go check that out. Also on the music side of things, man, I have been on a KB kick over the last couple days. He put out a new single recently called Easy, and it's just like it's in my head. He's, just got Hold Me Back as another one. No Chains is a good one. I don't know what it is, man. I've just been really, I guess, kind of vibing, as the kids say, with KB lately. So definitely go check him out. I also want to shout out Sound of the Rain. He put out a track that is themed after John Wick Chapter 4, which I saw. Awesome movie. And it's called All I Know, which is a really good track. There's a point where like a minute 44 seconds into the song where the beat changes up, and it gave me a stank face. You know what I'm saying? You're listening to it and you're just like, yeah. Oh, just rocking with it.
Yeah.
Sound of the Rain, man. Shout out to you, man. That
Super good.
That track got me going. It really, really got me going. So definitely go check those out. Links to them will be in your show notes as well. With that being said, though, that brings us to the end of this episode here at TRG. Hey, if you like what we do here and you want more, or you just want to support the show financially, you can do so by going over to patreon.com/reformgamers. Support as low as $1 a month goes a long way in helping us continue to do what we do here at the show. Gets you early uncut access to all of our episodes, whether that is TRG, Snapchatter, Talk TRG. You get that at the $5 tier and above, and so you can get some pretty cool perks over there as well. But if you can't support us financially, totally understand that given our current climate, you might be saving for some games or whatever else. You're saving up for some tacos, which I don't blame you because tacos are amazing. You can support us a variety of other ways. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the videos, share them, comment, all that jazz. Go to our website, follow us on Twitter, join the Discord, leave ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the podcast. All that stuff goes a long way. So we greatly appreciate your support in that regard. With that being said, that brings us to the end of this episode here. And until next time, be a deer, keep it locked here, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to TRG. This show is fully supported over on patreon.com by our dear listeners. The following are our supporters at the producer level or higher, and we are thankful for their continued support that allows us to continue doing what we do here at TRG. Those people are Wesley Ray, Mr. Butts, David Matthews, Richard Marroquin, and Alan Z. Thank you again for your continued support over on patreon.com, where you can pledge your support to the show and get early uncut access to all of our episodes, behind the scenes, and more. Thank you for listening, and until next time, be a deer, keep it locked here. We'll see you in the next episode.